Hey guys, Sherm here, and today I'm going to be testing the Tushek TS 900 Racer Pro at Golden Max in its unlimited multiplayer season. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and be sure to check out my Furum Clips channel as well as my Purple Team Discord. You'll find the links to those in the description, and I hope you enjoy these races. I believe this is the first video I've made about a car in a season in the New Breed Rivals update, and this is partially due to the fact that they are so short that sometimes I don't really have time to play them every day, and then I might miss one that I want to make a video on, but the Unlimited series for this car came out, had a good bit of time to play that day, so I grinded it until I got up to the top 20, and the journey to top 20 is what you're going to be seeing in this video. Or rather, I should say the best races from that, because it took me like 40 minutes to an hour or so to do that, but the good thing is, well, I don't know if you consider this a good thing or not, but it does allow me to fit more races in a video. The races are on shorter tracks, like 30 or 60 second, I believe, and in this first race we beat this other Tushek by 1/10 of a second. That happened a lot throughout my time in the season, and it's kind of what you will see in a lot of races in this video. Had a lot of very close ones, especially when I got up into Pro, Elite League, and especially Master League. Most of the races in this video were recorded in Master League, but the first two were recorded in Pro, and that did not make them any less intense though. I had some of the closest races in the season that I've had at all recently, and I think that given the style of the season being unlimited, you can play over and over again with the car, it is a good idea to have shorter races like this. It feels like one of the most rapid-fire, fast-paced seasons that I've ever played, due to being just able to play over and over and over again. Super short races, just one to the next, to the next, to the next. I pretty much played straight for an hour, and I had a whole lot of fun with it. Now, I do hope they do this kind of season more often, especially in faster cars like this, because that makes it even more fast-paced. But the car itself isn't the best. Like, it's okay. I had fun driving it, quite a bit actually. But it's just not really one that I would bother going for. It's one of those awkward mid-tier S-Class cars that goes fast enough. I mean, 255, fast enough to pretty easily beat any A-Class car or lower-end S-Class car, but not fast enough to compete against the likes of the Fenner or any cars higher than that, which there are a lot of in S-Class right now. And most of the rest of its stats follow the same trend of being a bit better than average, but still not great. Its acceleration, though, is definitely its best stat at 86, one of the highest in the game for sure. Its nitro at 61 is decent. I didn't really have much of an issue with the nitro efficiency. It's not the highest by any means, but it's not too bad either. And most of the time I found that the relatively high acceleration kind of counteracted any negative effects that might come from a somewhat mediocre nitro efficiency. Not like bad, but you know, its shockwave doesn't really even get it up to its top speed fully. Now, this also wasn't that much of a problem during this season in particular because it was slipstream, and especially if you weren't in first at the beginning, like you can see right here, you could just get behind everybody and stay in shockwave, get up to your top speed early on at the beginning of the race, and it would be totally fine. And I was able to stay pretty much my top speed for most of the race. The drifting is also, again, better than average, but nothing amazing. Like, it can get around turns pretty easily, you can do punch drifting with it, I assume you can do floaty drifting with it too, I didn't really try much of that. But yeah, I was able to get around turns without much of a problem. And overall, I would just consider it to be a slightly above average S-Class car that was fun to drive, but not really one that is worth going for all that much, because there are so many better ones that are easier to get. Also, it's not the most stable car. Most of the time you'll be fine, but I did notice it did do some weird physics stuff every so often. It was also a bit of a bouncy car, like it wasn't super grounded. It just kind of went up and down and around and everything, which did make it more fun to drive in a lot of cases, to be honest, but that's not always what you want necessarily, because whenever the beginning ghosting wore off, because it's not a ghost slipstream season, it's just a regular old slipstream season, since all the cars were going the same speed because it's the same car and everything, you'd often get into situations where you'd be battling a bunch of people all at once right next to each other, especially if you had a full race. And because of the car's somewhat bounciness, sometimes you would go places where you didn't really want to go, you'd flip over or whatever, and it just, you really had to be careful when you were around other people. Now that being said, I didn't really have much of an issue with knockdowns necessarily. I don't really know why, but I was pretty much blessed to not have knockdowns throughout the season. Maybe Game Off was looking out for me after all the previous seasons where I tend to get knocked down all the time. But overall, the season was very fun. One of the most fun seasons that I have had in quite a while, I gotta say. I just wish, like I've said previously, that the seasons lasted maybe a day or two longer and were 2 or 3 days instead of just one. That would allow me to have more time to, well, play in each season, see what they all have to offer, in case there was 1 or 2 days where I couldn't play due to being busy doing other stuff. Like right now, finals are coming up, just next week actually, and so I'm going to be studying for those a lot, and I may not have time to play every day. And there's also a few special events going on right now, like the Vision one and the Regera one, both of which I am going through. And recently there was a Looper Pre for the Arash AF8 Falcon edition that finished. I actually got pretty lucky in that. I didn't get into one of the top spots to get the key for the car, but I did manage to get its key in the packs. Only at 1 star, so it's not going to be that good, but it's always good to add another car to the arsenal, and now I have 111, or 111, which just is a nice number to look at. As I got above 1500 rating in this season, there definitely began to be fewer people in my races. In this one, there were only 3, and in this next one, there was only 1 other, who happened to be another Legions United member, so I knew this was going to be a fun duel. So most of the time, if I was in first at the beginning of a race in this season, and in pretty much any other Slipstream season, I would drift around so that I wouldn't be in first anymore. I'd be able to catch someone else's Slipstream, and they wouldn't be able to catch mine. Other times, I would just like turn back and forth to slow my car down at the beginning. The funny thing is, if you're in a race where a lot of people do that, everybody is just either drifting or like worming or whatever you want to call it at the beginning, where they just go back and forth, and thus the beginning of the race is just absolutely chaotic. Having a Slipstream season without ghosting at the beginning would be absolute insanity. And I don't really know what the best way to go about that would be. Probably just some early wiggle drifting if you're in first to get behind people, because if you're swerving back and forth, you could very easily get knocked to the side super early on, lose all your speed, which would just not be good for the rest of the race. And now it's time for a quick general review about this car. Had a lot of fun driving it. It is slightly above average, I would say, for Class S. Top speed of 255 miles per hour, pretty good drifting and nitro, not the best though, but the acceleration is definitely its strongest point. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do like the video if you have enjoyed it, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt, Forza, Minecraft, and other games content. Here we made it to 20th position, and I will see you guys in my next video. Goodbye!